Hello, I am the INTJ on the internet and the human embodiment of artificial intelligence. No, not really. I am just positioning myself here on the screen because um, there's this guy here. Today I am continuing on the path of socionics, but the main premise or theory of today is quite simple. How could this test possibly be good? That's my initial premise. We'll see. This is creepy. Very creepy guy over here, just looking around and smiling. I can't handle it. Okay, it says, understand your socionics type and complementary match in about 2 minutes, 8 questions. That's insane. There is no way that this test can be good and accurate, right? That's my thought. And we're going to test that out. We're going to see if that happens. His name is Freudly, an AI therapist. Give you an interpretation of the test after you complete it. So creepy. Okay, let's do it. Please read carefully the 8 psychological profile vignettes presented below. Oh, that's an interesting style, a vignette style. Using a 5-point scale, so similar to a 5-point Likert scale, rate how well each vignette describes you personally. If almost everything applies, select 5. If much, 4. If it applies about half the time, 3. Little applies, 2. And almost nothing applies, select 1. It's similar to if you were to go to a website and you were to read through the various type profiles and rate it 1 to 5 on whether you felt like you agreed with the profile in relation to yourself. So I see the logic of the test. Okay, here's the first vignette. You have strong logical and analytical thinking. You tend to systematize and organize things, and you enjoy diagrams, classifications, and tables. You work through issues carefully and in depth and like to analyze. You try to be objective and impartial and can easily spot logical inconsistencies in others' reasonings. I've been on this sort of tangent or tirade lately where I'm trying to figure out the difference between introverted intuition and introverted thinking. I know primarily introverted thinking, which I do not have. It's a judgment function, and you're personalizing systems of logic. Like, I get that conceptually, right? But whenever someone is presenting you with a vignette where they're talking about logic and analytical thinking, classifying things, objective and impartial, these are all introverted intuition qualities paired with TE extroverted thinking. Whenever those two are together, those are problem solving functions. So NITE does it differently than TINE, but sometimes when they're characterized in vignettes like this or through questions, they seem very similar to the person who is reading the question, myself. So yeah, it's very much like me. I'm going to analyze and pick things apart, think about things in depth until I gain a really good understanding of the content in front of me. So the second one, you have a strong drive for practical activity. You have a business sense and a tendency towards entrepreneurship. You're highly active and hardworking, able to manage and earn money. You are a workaholic, find it difficult to be idle. Do not tolerate wasting time. You handle numbers easily and are constantly calculating something. This is very TE. So this would be, it kind of reminds me of like a TE dominant person, but a very hard TE. You know, you get a lot of people who have softer extroverted thinking, and so they might agree with a lot of these elements. They might just be kind of more softer, almost presenting similarly to extroverted feeling in ways. I'm going to say much of that applies. You are strong-willed and decisive, possibly even dominant. I'm not a very domineering personality. You tend to be assertive. I am assertive. Persistent, yes. Confident in yourself and your abilities, yes. You can put pressure on people, give orders, and make others comply. This, not as much, and I don't like to use that tool very often. You are a leader. Myself, usually the leader of last resort, but I can do it. Power and authority are important to you. Not so much. Authority, yes. Power, not really. I'm kind of along the lines of power usually corrupts in some ways. It creates these really uneven and unfair inequities or dynamics that aren't always good. You have an intense, intense study heavy gaze. As if assessing people in the balance of power. I mean, you know, I sometimes I'm not aware of my intense gaze. I try to be, if I can be aware, if I have the tools to be aware of my gaze. For example, like right now, I am using the computer monitor to orient my expressions so that it's, much more friendly for the sake of presenting video content. You don't always have a mirror or a visual to help you out in that respect. And editing really helps afterwards because I tend to speak in bursts because I'm an introvert, and so I contemplate things for a while, and then I have this burst of concise thought in this little packet. I can clip out the spaces in between my bursts of phrases where I explain things, and it makes the energy in the video move a lot better. You strive for high status in society and material prosperity. Not typically. I don't really give much merit to status. I think status is a tool that you can use in order to accomplish certain goals, yes. So for that specific reason, I will obtain certain signifiers of status, such as educational degrees or certifications within a field of knowledge. About half, would I say half applies there? Because I'm not really dominant. You consistently seek comfort, pleasant sensations, and convenience. You have a well-developed sense of aesthetics and beauty. You pay increased attention to your health and are well aware of your body. So this one I do not have very well at all. It's not, it's something I have to take great pains in order to try to monitor. And then when I do finally shift my attention to it, it's like I can't maintain it, and whenever I'm focusing too long on sort of the bodily stuff, then other things fall by the wayside, and it's kind of like a waste of time and energy for me because it's like too much tension, too much effort goes into it. Although, I have to be very careful to incorporate like bits of it, maybe softly into my life, maybe not like all of my focus and attention towards it. You pay close attention to nutrition and food quality. So that's an example. So I was having some issues where I was getting really lightheaded, very faint, to the point of almost fainting, right? Which is not good for health. And so I was trying to figure out like what can I do to fix that, and it was very much dietary. So I had to really adjust certain vitamin supplements, iron, magnesium, vitamin D3, vitamin K. So infusing a lot more vitamins into my diet. And then the other element, the energy element, was protein. So a lot more protein into my diet. So those elements kind of together, I had to work through that. I even went to the doctor to have blood tests taken, but those blood tests didn't give me any information, so I was frustrated with the doctor. And so I basically had to figure it out myself, and I'm like, okay, well, these are the things that people kind of say, these are the things that people have experimented with, so I kind of incorporated those things into my diet to see what was going to be effective for me. You like beautiful, high-quality things. I do appreciate them visually, but I don't necessarily, I'm very low physical consume, so I don't really like to own a lot of like high status, high end things. Like I can get by on bare minimums, and I often shop at secondhand stores because I feel less pressured by the cost, by the expense of it. I'm like, okay, I don't really have to be committed to this object of, I don't have to be committed to this clothing because it was a $5 t-shirt. So like I'm not expending a lot of money. If I don't like it, I can throw it away. I can cut it up so it fits my body better. Like this hat was $2, so I can like wear it until it falls apart. So there's just a lot less pressure coming from the expense of the objects that I'm buying. And then I get to experiment more with different styles and stuff if I'm not worried about spending too much money on it. So a lot of secondhand stores. You prefer not to be overly active and dislike wasting effort and energy on things that feel pointless. That's true. Not a lot of things. I do seek comfort, so really soft things. Soft blankets, very pillowy soft pillows. My cat's soft fur, just like pushing my face into her soft fur. It's nice. Just being wrapped up in a cozy blanket with a candle, drinking coffee or tea. Aesthetics and beauty. Yeah, I do. I love beautiful things, for sure. But that's the extroverted sensing in sort of its little childish position. So it does describe me a tiny bit. You are drawn to what is new and unusual. You have strong intellectual curiosity and a creative mindset. You prefer a broad, big picture approach rather than focusing on small details. Repetitive, monotonous work feels oppressive. You find it hard to do the same thing for a long time and often change interests. You do not like dealing with everyday practical matters. You constantly seek new impressions. You always have many different ideas and can improvise and act in unconventional ways. This is describing extroverted intuition. However, because it's intuition, I do have certain things in common with it. So I am kind of drawn to things that are new and unusual, in particular, unusual things, because unusual, it hits into abstraction and speculation and just these topics that are just like really interesting to explore intellectually. So very curious, have a creative mindset, yes. Broad, big picture approach, yes. Cannot really do small details to save my life. I think I've said that before. I do not like repetitive, monotonous work. It does feel oppressive, but I can make myself do it. And I can find ways to push myself to do the sort of grunt work, especially in service to a larger goal. I do not particularly find it hard to do the same thing for a long time because I can make it new in a cycle of renewal. I can pursue an interest, but the way I've described it is I want the same thing but different, the same thing but different. So conceptually the same, but different presentationally. On the extroverted sensing, it should be different each time, but in the conceptual exploration, the introverted intuition and the introverted feeling conceptually when I'm analyzing a concept, right? It needs to be the same, but the expression of that concept, I want to see a lot of different examples of it from different views. I'm fine with dealing with everyday practical matters. I do like to seek new things, but it's not constant. I have different ideas, and my improvising is not fantastic, but I like to try to train that up a bit because I'm fascinated by it. And I can be unconventional according to society's rules, but I am a pragmatist, so I'm going to do what functions within reality. That's extroverted thinking. So maybe about half, since it's hitting on some of those universal, intuitive sort of features. You often think about the past and the future. True. One of your favorite activities is daydreaming and imagining. I don't really love the term daydreaming, because that's not usually what I do. I just have a lot more like grit and severity to my like imaginative, speculative ploys and thoughts and such. I don't know, it's just a lot more tough and gritty, I feel like, than daydreaming allows for. You enjoy philosophical reflection and discussing big picture topics? I do. You have a sense of foresight? Perhaps. Often you do not deliberate much over decisions. They come to you as if a higher prompt. Okay, first of all, not a good sentence or fragment of a sentence, because there's a semicolon there. Not a good expression of a concept. Like, my ideas do not descend upon me from heaven. The way that people always try to talk about introverted intuition just kind of pisses me off sometimes. I'm like, no, it's just it's just abstraction that's happening in my head. It's not being channeled to me through some higher power. I don't know. You trust your hunches and insights, which often prove correct. Yeah, because I think about them. I think through things in the logical progression of how something might unfold based upon patterns I've recognized. Yes. You rarely rush, that's true. Have your own pace, definitely. Vivid imagination, think in images. I do not think in images. I think introverted intuition can be different for different people. If you do think in images, that must be cool for you. I'm more of an audio person. Sometimes I will hear like echoes of words in my head, almost like the actual sounds that were produced. And I think I'm just more bodily. Even though I'm not good at the extroverted sensing, it's still like there's still a kinesthetic part of me that like wants to be expressed. And it's like the conflation of all of my experience within the world. Whenever I go for a walk, and this is why I like going for walks, right? Because my mind wanders and stuff, so it's like I'm not really taking in the details of the walk, even though sometimes my attention will divert and hyper focus upon a specific detail in my environment. Maybe there's a butterfly out on the trail, and that'll ignite some sort of like poetry or something like that, basically, or a specific flower or something like that. Like it'll spin off or inspire a thought that can be expressed aesthetically. But I do like going for walks because it's like whenever I'm walking a trail or a path I've walked before, it's like every single time I have walked that path in my life is like infused within that walk. It's crazy. There's no details from a specific instance. It's just like all together. This is the walk. This is the way it is and was and will always be whenever I go in this direction. Kind of a weird experience. I don't know if other people identify with that. But I'm also very directionless. So, I just don't pick up on those details. But yeah, to answer this, I don't think in images. Comment below if you think in images and tell me what that's like. You believe in mysticism and supernatural forces. Not really, but I do like to entertain them because they're entertaining. I don't really believe in it, but it's fascinating in order and intriguing to kind of explore those sorts of things. I hate that this is all included in introverted intuition, because some of these things are just, I would say 50-50. This is going to screw me over. This is why I keep on getting like INTP stuff, is because I don't agree with the expression of introverted intuition. My extroverted thinking is my tool function, right? It's my second function. So my TE is how I get stuff done in the world and how I often express myself. And so it's so like tied into my base or my hero or my dominant function, my introverted intuition, that it, like they're kind of joined at the hip at this point. And I think together it kind of has a way of being introverted thinking without being introverted thinking, because it's not as good as introverted thinking, right? It's not as precise. And I would definitely not be an INTP because I don't have the SI, the introverted sensing, to back up a lot of what I'm doing with my NITE. I'm gonna go 50-50. You are a very emotional person. Your emotions are strong, vivid, and intense. That part is true. I'm not outwardly emotional, though. You express them openly? Nope. Encourage this in others? I mean, I think it's fine if other people are emotional. It doesn't really bother me. I just don't want you to expect me to reciprocate that, because I might not be able to reciprocate in the way that you would like. You can sense another person as if they were yourself, and you are able to feel compassion and empathize with others' distress. I think you can do this without being emotionally expressive. You can have compassion and not like hit them back with all of your emotions, you know? Without emotions, feelings, love, deep experiences, life would lose its meaning for you. I think that's true. Especially without deep experiences, life would lose meaning. You tend to be open, sociable, and outgoing. I do not. I try to at least be open, at the very least. And you find it hard to tolerate being alone. No, I like being alone. Much for you depends on your mood. That's kind of true. My mood really impacts me, but again, I try to like punch it into submission with my extroverted thinking. Shut up, mood! Shut up! I am my own bully. Okay. Moral duty, responsibility, and ethical issues play an important role in your life. They do not. Moral duty and responsibility, yes. Ethical, I'm staying out of that. You expect others to follow these standards. I do not. I see this as very subjective. You are very good at understanding relationships between people, who likes and dislikes who is drawn to whom. I like to examine that. And you pay close attention to this. Although you may appear calm on the outside, I do. You tend to have deep feelings and strong emotions. I do. What is this profile getting at? You do not like being the center of attention and you are reserved. Yes. You are sensitive to subtle changes in other people's moods. Somewhat. Sometimes it feels like I receive information and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just gonna leave you alone and let you do your own thing. Because I don't want to interfere with whatever kind of emotional processing that you are doing. If you come to me and you want to talk emotions, I can try. You have to tell me up front that that's your intention and that's what you're trying to do. Some of this applies, but a lot of it doesn't. I mean, this is very me in the not being the center of attention. Like these two things are like my alchemical makeup on the introverted feeling side. I so strongly disagree with this, so it almost invalidates everything else because that's the level of my disagreement. Like I'm not imposing morals upon other people. Like I disagree with that so strongly that it almost invalidates this other stuff that is very me. Let's say little. What are we doing here? Oh, my AI guy is gonna tell me. My creepy creep stalker AI guy. What about me? Would you like to have me as an artificial intelligence being your advisor? I'm probably not the person you would choose. You'd probably choose someone more attractive, right? Like a celebrity. An error occurred. No, is this a scam? Oh, I'm sad. I'm doing a video and it's probably a scam. Okay, here we go. Encrypting and parsing your response vectors, calculating core psychometric scales, detecting hidden psychological patterns, benchmarking. Okay, use insights for real life. Ooh, bad text. So creepy, bro. Oh, it is a scam. I'm not paying 99 cents for that. You're not getting my credit card information. Well, this was a lesson in, unfortunately, some tests are scams. So we'll never know about this one. Oh well.